Hi guys, Mark here. Thank you so much for clicking and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be continuing with my top 5 series. So already we've had a look at Marina, Licky Lee, and we've also had a look at my top 5 from Rina Sawayama's debut album. Today we're going to be looking at an Icon's back catalogue, and that icon is Kylie Minogue. I have really enjoyed Kylie's music over the years, but I have to say at the outset, I'm not a die-hard super Kylie fan. I really enjoy her music, but there are some people who are super passionate about what she does and follow her every move, and I'm not that kind of fan of Kylie's. I take her music for what it is, and there are some tracks which have really been the soundtrack to big parts of my life, but as I say, I'm not kind of a huge super fan, so I'll try and give kind of an objective view on each of the songs I'm going to talk about today. I'm probably going to pick some songs that people won't expect, so I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. There are a couple of obvious ones in there, but there are a couple of, I guess, obvious omissions as well, which kind of haven't gelled with me in the way in which they have gelled with other people. So without further ado, let's kick off with my first song. So number 5 on my list is a bit of an obscure one. It's called Rolling, and it was from I think it was the last track on her most recent album called Golden. For me, it was the best track on the album, and it's the one that I've listened to by far the most out of all the tracks on there. I think it nails it in a variety of different ways. So let's get stuck into it, and then I can let you have my thoughts on the track as we go along. Love the intro straight away, kind of the intricate guitar, really enjoy that. And then her voice comes in, pretty powerful for Kylie. Sometimes she's a bit more delicate, but it's quite a forceful vocal to start off. And then I love it when the percussion comes in there, and already the song's starting to build and develop. Love when the piano comes in for this part of the bridge. Really helps kind of differentiate the verses and the chorus. That bit's super catchy. I just think this chorus has got such a great kind of vibe to it. And also, she really goes all out on the vocal on this song in the chorus. Her vocal can sometimes be quite restrained, but on this chorus it feels like it's all out there, and I really enjoy that. And just going back to the production on this, so the beat's back, but there are different elements to the beat that have kicked in now that keep things interesting. And some really nice harmonisation there with the backing vocalist as well. It's just got such a kind of cool groove to it the whole way through. Really keeps you bopping the whole way through. And then it's got this kind of like second chorus bit afterwards, which again is also super catchy. It kind of makes me wonder why this wasn't a single from the album. For me personally, I prefer this to Dancing, for instance. And I do enjoy it. Like, so many of Kylie's songs are production focused, but here you get to hear her voice, and it's kind of shows some of the texture in her voice at her kind of lower register as opposed to the much higher stuff like on the chorus. And the piano throughout is just so insistent. It just, I don't know, it just kind of does something to me. And the message of the song is really great as well. I think it's a good song for her to have closed this album with. It's a really positive message, you know, just keep on at it and you'll get there. I really enjoy how she brings it back at the end on this song as well. Takes the tempo down and sends the album out with this kind of finish. The message is pretty straightforward, but it's a really kind of positive song, and I think on that album where there were quite a few reflective songs where I think Kylie was looking back on where she was in, like at that point in time where she was in her life. There's lots of speculation, you know, she's not got kids, she's not married, people are always asking her those questions. I think it was her saying, I'm taking stock of things, but I'm okay with where I am, I'm okay with where I'm going. So it finished in a really positive way. So yeah, I really I did enjoy the album as a whole. I think some people didn't like the country vibe, but I'm up for it, and I thought it was pretty decent as a whole. So we're on to track number 4 now. This is an absolutely beautiful song. It's the Abbey Road session version of Come Into My World. I had to pick something from the Abbey Road sessions because I live literally 30 seconds away from Abbey Road, so one of those songs had to be on there. And also it was just such an amazing album for her to put together. I think lots of people question her vocal ability, and I think actually what she delivered on that album was something really special, something similar-ish to what Sophie Ellis-Bextor has done it more recently with her orchestral album. And I really enjoy when established pop singers who are known for a particular type of pop music, i.e. electro, disco, that kind of vibe, do something that's completely out of the box. Really enjoyed this, and it brought something completely different to the song. The focus on the lyrics and on Kylie's voice was something that was really special, and I'm sure that when they were recording it in the studio, this was one of the songs that when they put together with the live instrumentation, they kind of stood back afterwards and said, actually that's really beautiful and we've achieved something really special here. So let's get into it. This is Come Into My World, and I do love a stripped down piano song as well. Vocal at the beginning is so delicate, so soft. She must have been really close up to the mic when she was recording this. And actually the first time I listened to it, I remember thinking, God, this is actually a really sad song. The way the piano builds here into the bridge, it got me right there the first time that I heard it. The way the piano continues actually throughout is just so beautiful. And her vocal is so light but so emotive, and it really does progress through the song, as we will hear. There's a real sense of desperation to the vocal, and where she says, I need your love, she's really meaning it. Again, when she's saying, I'm calling, it's that desperation. And the way she uses her voice on this as well, the delicacy, but texture within the delicacy, it really emotes so well. I think this turns something that was a real kind of electro pop song for a child audience into something else, and she's really turned the song on its head. And it's this bit at the end where actually the vocal's been really restrained, desperate but gentle and restrained, and here she's now letting loose, and she's just, it's as if she's held in that desperation and that want, and she's just letting it out, and she's saying, I need you to come into my world, this is what I want. Okay, so that was number 4 on my top 5, Come Into My World. I mean, just a breathtakingly beautiful rendition of the song, and actually it's a real reminder of how good the songwriting is on Kylie's material. It's got this glossy sheen and often has a kind of, a sing-along factor to it. But if you sit down and you really listen to the lyrics, some of the stuff is really personal and very emotional, actually. And that sometimes gets lost in a conventional pop song, but when you strip it down to its bare bones, the true meaning of the song comes through, and I think this version of this song really captured that. For number 3 now, we're going back to Kylie's Body Language album, and I think fans of this album really love either Slow or Chocolate. Chocolate was obviously much more arty, and Slow was much more kind of conventional and poppy and out at a club dancing away. But there was a single that was in the middle between the two of them, which was Red-Blooded Woman, and that's my number 3. It took Kylie down a much more kind of R&B sound route than a lot of the other stuff that she's done, and I really enjoy it. I mean, I think I probably was in my mid-teens possibly when that single came out, and I remember the video very distinctly, which was completely different to the Slow video, which obviously was very sexualized, but beautifully filmed and very arty still. And this video was much more urban. I think there was lots of cars and smoke and stuff like that going on in it. And it was far less colourful. It was much more grey and kind of urban, as I say. I just think the production on this song, and also the way in which she hits it with the attitude that she does, again, showed a really different side of her. It showed what a versatile performer she was. And I think it probably opened her up to an audience that perhaps weren't previously in line with what she was doing. So Red-Blooded Woman is at number 3. Let's give it a listen. I just remember the beat on it is just kind of captures you straight away, and it's got a really good groove to it. I love that little vocal lick that she gives at the beginning as well. You've been bruised, you've been broken. Love it when she does those kind of little high bits as well. Again, it shows the texture and variety in her voice. The production of the whole of this song gets it just right, and actually at the time, the kind of R&B vibe was, the R&B pop vibe was very much there, but this sounded like something unique and different in that very crowded market. Also, I think the thing is for this to follow Slow, where the production was so kind of clean and minimal, for this to be something a bit more grand, a bit more textured and multi-dimensional, I think was a really smart move as well. Wonder whether that's a reference to Dead or Alive. The backing vocals throughout the whole of this, it's kind of like a monk's chanting backing vocal thing going on. It comes to the fore much more in the middle 8 and towards the end, but it's there kind of throughout the whole song, which I really enjoy. I love how she breaks it down on this bit as well. For the middle 8, you've just got some strings going on, and then this bit was really unexpected, kind of like where it's kind of very production heavy. Yeah, I think one of the things I go back to with this song is the intricacies with the production and the ad-libs and the vocals from the middle 8 onwards. There's always something new to hear in the song, and so it always keeps my attention, and there's always a different bit that I focus on when I'm listening to the song. So you can hear the backing vocals much more clearly now. It's kind of a bit like the vibe that you had on Jamelia's Money, I think. There was some kind of backing vocals that were a bit similar to that. I love this outro as well. You know, it's just such a kind of an unusual way in which to end the song, with just that minimal production at the end and the beats. So yeah, Red-Blooded Woman's been, it must be 15, maybe more years old, but that's been one of my consistent favourites since then. So yeah, that's at number 3 on the list. At number 2 is one that's more recent, not as recent as Rolling, but I think it was from her most recent but one album, Kiss Me Once. As I said, I'm not a kind of super fan of Kylie, so I've not actually listened to the whole of this album, and I probably should, because there might be some other tracks that are like this one on it. But I've gone with Into the Blue because genuinely the first time I heard the song and the piano intro, it really captivated me, and I was just completely taken under her spell for the entirety of the song. Her vocals in it, particularly in the middle 8 where she goes so freaking high, are insane. I actually didn't realise that Kylie could sing like that, but clearly she can. And, you know, the message of the song as well really resonated with me at the point in my life at which this song came out. I think it works on so many levels. I think the production is incredible, and I think it sounds really up to date even now. I mean, it must have been released, I've got no idea, I mean, it must be more than 5 years ago. It sounds like it's super fresh. It could still be released now. I think at the time it wasn't like a super successful Kylie single, which I was really surprised about because I was so in love with it. But you know, the market wants what the market wants, whatever that might be. So yeah, let's get into my number 2, which is Into the Blue from Kiss Me Once. And just that piano straight away, I was totally invested even from that moment onwards. And then you had the kind of like little vocal riff at the beginning. and you think, where's it going to go? And the beat sweeps in. The bridge is, I think, my favourite part of the song. Where Kylie just gets to show what she can do vocally. And the instrumentation is very much in the background, the vocal is at the fore. Tonight I'm running free. And just the flipping up into the head voice, that gets me every time. And if you do it on the chorus, even better. Great line. You know, I've done what I've done. It is what it is. Let's move forward. And actually, I think I've seen a couple of live performances that she's done of this song, and she's pretty strong vocally on it as well. It's not an easy song to sing by any stretch of the imagination. And the chorus is just so punchy, and the beat behind it just like throbs away in the background. It just kind of, I keep saying this for all her songs, but they really kind of just get you here and they kind of make you move. It's like an innate thing, you can't help yourself. Okay, the middle eight is beautiful. She takes it right back down, much more stripped, and then she unleashes these beautiful vocals. And then you've got the E-O-O-O-O, E-O-O-O-O. And then the bass kicks in. It's just such a propulsive song, and there's kind of such a sense of elation to it. She's not going to be constrained by what's happened, going into the unknown. Whatever happens, happens. I don't know whether this is referenced at all, because I don't think Kylie wrote this, but I don't know whether it references her illness or not, I'm not sure. And then we've got a kind of like very genteel string-based outro to see us on our way at the end of the song, which kind of takes you out gently rather than kind of leaving you. Okay, so that was my number 2. I think probably you could tell from my reaction to the song when it came in that I absolutely loved it, and it's just one of those songs that I just completely vibe with. And if I'm honest, when I do playlists and stuff with my friends, it's one of the ones that people don't really understand why I love it so much, but it just really has this effect on me. So I can't really explain it other than I think the production is brilliant, I think her vocals are brilliant, and I think the message is great. So for me, it's the whole package, and I still can't understand why it didn't perform better commercially, but who knows. Okay, so number 1 on my countdown is one that we're going to take back a few years. For me personally, I'm not a huge fan of the kind of oldest Kylie material. For me, it's obviously classic stuff, but for me it does sound a little bit dated. That's just my kind of view on things. I much prefer her more modern stuff, aside from this track, which is, I think, from around 1996, and I think it was a song that didn't actually perform that well commercially, but for me it's been my absolute favourite Kylie song from the moment I heard it. Nothing's changed in that respect over the last, I think it must be over 20 years now, I guess. But it's just such a brilliant track, and she's done great modern versions of it. It was on the Abbey Road album. It's not the version that I'm going to include on this list, but also other artists have done covers of it. Hertz, the kind of electronic male duo, have done a cover of this song. If you haven't heard it, check it out because it's brilliant. And I think actually they wrote some stuff for Kylie, and I think she featured on their first album actually on a song, if I'm right. Anyway, I'm going to stop jabbering on. The song that's at number 1 on my Kylie top 5 is Confide in Me, which is just an exceptional song. So let's listen to it. From the moment this song starts, with the piano and the strings, it's so eerie, and it was so different to anything that she had done before this. You knew that what was coming was you were either going to love it or hate it, because it was something completely outside of the square. Outside of the square, is that saying? I don't know. Outside of the box? Outside the box. And then as soon as that comes in, you just know that what's going to be delivered is different to whatever you've heard from Kylie before. This is a new agenda, this is a new sound. My interest, it was like, what is this? The vibe, it's so of a time. I think this is obviously dated as well, in that it sounds so 90s, but I love the 90s, so I don't mind. I mean, it ties in so well with the video, which was the kind of call me paper chat type thing. And I think for me, it's always been the contrast between the light and ethereal vocals here, between the really brooding, building string background to the song that's always captured my attention. We all get hurt by love, and we all have a cross to bear, but in the name of understanding. The vocals on this are amazing, and I think it must have really sent a kind of message out to the general public that Kylie is a proper singer. You know, she was a television personality. She had some songs at the beginning where the emphasis was not on her vocal necessarily, or not necessarily on her vocal abilities. It was about her vocal delivery in a kind of coy or sexy or pop way. But the emphasis here is the emotion and the production of the whole song. The kind of, I think it must be violins, I think, that are kind of going on. Is it violins? I think it's violins. And then this middle eight, which kind of harks back to the call me, you know, type in the paid number, call me vibe of things. If you've not seen the video, check it out. That's definitely the vibe of it. Then you've just got the additional kind of like, I think it's a guitar that kind of comes in now, that spices it up again towards the end. And I think if you see her live, she does do this song live regularly still. And I think she always finishes with like a super high note. And I think in some senses this song for her is a bit of like an FU, because it's such a masterpiece in terms of the way in which it's written, the production, the delivery, and it's her saying, I can do credible as well as commercial. And I don't know how you say that in a stronger way than a song like this. And that final vocal, I mean, it just gets me. So that's the end of my top 5. Confide in Me, the master mix, I'm told, is number 1. It really harps back to the 90s and gives me vibes of kind of like Garbage's Milk. I think is the song that I would put it next to as a kind of contemporary. Both of them are brilliant songs, and I think I would put in my kind of top 50 songs of my life, I guess. So yeah, that was number 1. Really hope that you have enjoyed my top 5 from Kylie's discography. I'm sure most of you will disagree with pretty much everything that I've put in this top 5, but it's the top 5 that I go back to time and time again, and it's those songs that really resonate with me. Yeah, if you've enjoyed this reaction video, please do subscribe, like and share, and if you've got any recommendations for other artists that I could do a top 5 for, please do put them in the comments below. I will read them, and I will do the reaction videos. So other than that, that's me for today. Hope that you're all well, and I will see you on my next reaction video.